Welcome back again to Bio 483 Pathophysiology, Lecture 3, Mechanisms of Cell Injury, Physical Agents. This is what I call a duh slide. Of course, tearing, breaking, biting, etc. can cause cell injury. You knew that. I knew that. Everybody knew that. So why bring it up in the first place? Well, to make your life difficult. Now, that's just a benefit. Just kidding. I mention mechanical forces because I promised you before that everything falls into one of the four categories of mechanisms of cell injury. So which mechanism is this? Probably the most correct answer is the defects in membrane permeability, although a second mechanism is due to ATP depletion, which is due to hypoxia because of decreased blood flow. Do you see the difference there? This is one example of choosing the best answer when more than one might be right. Always pick the most direct answer. If you have to justify the answer with, well, something else happened to cause this, then it might not be the best answer. Remember, one of the major goals of this class is to help you learn how to study and how to take standardized exams. Unfortunately, that includes learning how to process through, choose the best answer types of questions. We all know that both heat and cold can cause cellular injury. Those of us who've ever gone through a summer in Phoenix are very familiar with the effects of extreme heat. But I'm not talking about cellular damage from a sunburn. We'll discuss that a little later. Right now, let's see if we can work out which mechanism extreme heat uses to cause cell damage. First, we know that heat increases the metabolism. So, if the metabolism is sped up enough, then some heat can be converted into chemical potential energy. This chemical potential energy can break some of the weak bonds that maintain a protein's quaternary structure, and therefore the protein is denatured. Let me catch up here on this. Increased metabolic rate, heat, potential energy, heat energy in, breaking the bonds, and therefore denaturing. Okay. Also, the increase in metabolism can literally break a cell membrane. So, in summary, heat can cause increased metabolism, which can cause inactivated enzymes, coagulation of blood vessels and tissue proteins because they're denatured, and compromised cell membranes. What about cold? Cold slows metabolism and decreases chemical potential energy, so no bonds are being broken and quaternary structure is maintained in proteins. But if we slow down blood flow, there's no oxygen getting into the tissue and it dies. Which mechanism is this? What do we need to make significant amounts of ATP? Do you know how electricity causes a heart attack? It's actually very interesting from a biological perspective, because the mechanism illustrates a lot of biology that you already learned along the line. You know, of course, that cell membranes rely on electrical potential energy, or electrical potential differences across the membrane to transport things in and out of the cell. Great, you knew that. The new information here is that electricity disrupts the cell membrane by inputting a bunch of charge in the system and throwing it off. Now, there's no gradient because of that charge, so the membranes become instantly much more permeable. So what happens next? Logically, solutes and organelles flow in and out of the cells without any regulation. But now the electric shock is over, so it's time to clean up. With the electrolytes all thrown off, the cell has to rely on massive amounts of ATP to bring the cell back into homeostasis. But there's a problem, isn't there? The cell is really messed up. We run out of ATP quickly, and then what happens? The cell dies, of course. So here's the million-dollar question. What is the best mechanism that explains how electrocution causes a heart attack on the cellular level? I'm going to stop right there before I go any further in this presentation.